This is Foundations of Math and Pre-Calculus 10, Chapter 7.4. We are going to look at parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel has the symbol of two vertical lines, and perpendicular has an upside-down T. Now, these lines are interesting because they have special properties and occurs frequently in our daily lives. Things would roll off the tables if they aren't parallel with the floor. Pictures wouldn't hang properly if walls aren't perpendicular with the floors, and so on. On a graph, lines are parallel if they have the same slopes. And lines are perpendicular if the slopes multiply to -1, or if the perpendicular slope equals -1 over the other slope. And this is called a negative reciprocal. And special cases, if m equals 0, then the perpendicular slope is undefined. And vice versa. So if m is undefined, then the perpendicular is m equals 0. Now we have some properties. Parallel lines will never meet. Think of train tracks. And perpendicular lines meet at 90 degrees. An interesting point, although orthogonal is a synonym of perpendicular, orthogonal is generally used for 3D or higher, while perpendicular is for 2D. Okay, so find the line that is parallel with y equals 3x plus 4 that goes through 4, 7. Okay, so this is y minus 7 equals 3x minus 4. Use slope point form here. It's easiest. Unless some other form is asked for. Okay, so this is an easy form to use because all we're doing is substituting. We're not doing any algebra. We just take the slope and we take the new point. Okay, next problem. Find the line parallel with y equals -2x plus 8 that goes through -2, -4, and this one we're asked to answer in slope-intercept form. So we start off with slope-intercept form. The slope is -2x plus b. Now we need to substitute given point. So -4 equals -2, -2 plus b. So -4, and this is 4. Move the 4 over to the other side, it becomes -4, so this gives us -8. That gives us our b. Now we still need to write our equation, y equals -2x minus 8. Let's continue. Find the line perpendicular with y equals -1/2 x plus 7 that goes through -1, 2. So m perpendicular equals -1 divided by the slope, -1/2. So when we're dividing by fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. So this is -2 over 1. We can ignore the 1, and this is just 2. So now we'll go ahead with substituting y minus 2, and we substitute our point x minus -1. And we just do a little simplification here. Y minus 2 equals 2x plus 1. And we don't need to put this into any particular form, so we'll just leave it in slope point form. Next, find the line perpendicular with y equals -2x plus 5 that goes through 2, 3. This time we're asked to answer in general form. We find the slope first. M perpendicular equals -1 over -2. And this is simply 1/2. We substitute into slope point form. Y minus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 2. Now we multiply by the reciprocal to get this over to the other side. So that's just multiplying by 2. So we have 2y minus 3. And we're left with x minus 2. Expand this side. We have 2y minus 6 equals x minus 2. Don't forget to distribute to every term inside the bracket. And since x is positive here, we're going to move everything onto this right-hand side. So x, this becomes -2y. This becomes plus 6. So 6 minus 2 is plus 4 equals 0. And that's general form. If you decided to distribute this here, you'd have fractions, and we'd have to get rid of the fractions later. So once you have a fraction here, it's best to multiply by the reciprocal. One last example. Determine if these points form a rectangle. The opposites need to have the same slope, and then the adjacent ones need to form 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and calculate all the slopes. 0 minus -4 over 2 minus 0. This is positive 4 over 2, and that's 2. Next, BC, we have -2 minus 0 over 8 minus 2. This is -2 over 6 equals -1/3. And -6 minus -2 over 6 minus 8. We have -4 over -2, and that's a slope of 2. And last one, we have -4 minus -6 over 0 minus 6. This becomes 6 minus 4, that's 2, and 0 minus 6. And we have -1/3. So, time to write up our conclusions. MAB equals M is parallel with MCD, and MBC is parallel with MDA. So ABCD is a parallelogram. But MAB times MBC equals 2 times -1/3, and that does not equal -1. So ABCD is not a rectangle. And that completes this lesson.